The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Posturing on full display at PLP headquarters this evening with aspirants putting on their best foot, or rather presenting and putting their best foot forward before the candidates committee. We are live tonight. Also tonight, a surprising move in MyCal today, one that caught residents off guard. It's an announcement that had all of you talking today and sending voice notes as well. And later, which and how did the governing female MPs of the PLP perform this term? Which ones are limping towards the general election? This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, PLP headquarters buzzing with anxious expectation this evening as several aspirants hoping to secure nominations were interviewed. Jose Etienne is live at PLP headquarters. I think my team is going to let me know when he is ready, but we will jump in with the discussion and then we will go to Jose once Jose is up. So listen, let's just jump right in. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, BTH contributors, Ellington Ferguson, good evening to you, and Howard Johnson. Good evening to both of you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here, Ellington. Let's just jump right in and talk about what's happening at PLP headquarters. It's over now. It's been about an hour ago that it wrapped up, but just a lot and the way we talked about, I'll never forget, some months ago we talked about how the Free National Movement was playing out with its nominations and many of its aspirants. That's almost being mirrored right now, as we see with many of the races and many of the constituencies for the Progressive Liberal Party.
You're absolutely correct, Shanique. And not only is it being mirrored, I mean, it appears that the Progressive Liberal Party is taking this whole debacle to another level, unfortunately. And the fallout that you're going to see in Southern Shores, even if they make a decision tonight on who the candidate is going to be, the fallout is yet to be experienced, the magnitude of the fallout, because you have a lot of unsettled party supporters that don't like how things are going either way with either candidates. And the fallout is not going to be good. And you have a candidate in there from the other side, that from the Free National Movement, that has been doing very well on the ground. She's been making the rounds. People are beginning to love her, and I've seen PLP supporters that are talking good about
this is Denny
Penn. And so this is not looking good in that particular constituency for the Progressive Liberal Party right now.
We have Jose Etienne. Of course, we will pick up this discussion in just a moment, but we're going to go live to Jose. Jose, good evening to you. I know things have wrapped up there about 30 minutes ago, but please kindly bring us in and let us know exactly what took place this evening.
Well, Shanique, I'm still here at the PLP headquarters here on Farrington Road, pretty much down the road from where you are. And of course, they've just wrapped up a candidates committee selection appearance that involved a number of candidate hopefuls, right? Among them are some pretty much interesting names, Shanique. And so we're talking about veteran broadcaster and the general manager of the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, Clint Watson. Of course, he has his eyes fixed on the Southern Shores constituency. We're also told, although we haven't spoke with him as yet. We haven't even seen him on the compound as yet. We're told Mr. Obi Roberts, who was the deputy chairman for the governing PLP, was also on the inside of the headquarters, and he was also pretty much interviewed, as he's also vying for the Southern Shores constituency. We're also told that Mr. Owen Wells was also expected to make his appearance here tonight. We haven't seen him yet, but his name was one that was floating around as it relates to the aspirants who made their appearance before the candidate selection committee. Of course, that committee was made up of party leader, Prime Minister Philip Davis, Deputy Leader Chester Cooper, some other officials, of course, the party's chairman, Fred Mitchell. They were all here. Of course, it's been almost 30 minutes now since they've left. But Shanique, when we were here earlier this evening, things were pretty much heated, right? There was pretty much a wave of excitement, particularly from supporters of Mr. Watson. Of course, they showed out here in great numbers as the person they're hoping will be selected came here to be interviewed. Of course, we spoke about him. We spoke to him on a number of issues. What is his plan for the Southern Shores constituency? What does he hope to achieve? He mentioned creating opportunities, providing lots of opportunities for residents, children, adults, etc. He also talked about his willingness to step down as Broadcasting Corporation general manager. Of course, that's a concern that the opposition has had for a while now. As far as they're concerned, he should not be occupying the office as he vies for political office. And so Mr. Watson did say once he's ratified, he will step down. Of course, as we've said, he's pretty much the only person we've spoken to who we know has been who's been interviewed tonight by the candidate selection committee. We have yet to speak with other persons, but we're going to hang around for a few to see if we could speak with other persons. Of course, he is one of two persons seeking representation for Southern Shores. Persons argue that you have an individual who was able to establish a name for himself as a career journalist going up against someone who's a sitting official in the party, one who has legacy, one who's the son of a beloved former chairman of the party. And so persons are saying that's going to be an interesting showdown, an interesting two-man showdown, and they're going to see who will be victorious once the committee makes its decision. Of course, this is all happening as the party looks to ratify its slate. We do know that the area is currently, Southern Shores, that is currently held by Mr. Leroy Major. Persons have argued that the way he spoke against the party in what was described as a rare act of dissent months back could possibly be done in a way where he may have shot himself in the leg. And so we await to see what will be any decision that he makes. We're not sure as to whether or not he will seek re-election, but we're going to see what happens in the days to come as the party continues to make plans, ramps up its preparation to ratify its slate. For now, Shanique, I'm still here at the PRP headquarters. We're winding down, but we'll provide more in subsequent reporting. For now, back to you.
Jose, thank you so much. Jose Etienne, speaking of what took place, in fact, what's still perhaps unfolding at PLP headquarters this evening, he mentioned that Clint Watson was there, and then Obi Roberts may still be in at headquarters, and Owen Wells is expected as well. As Ellington, as we talk, and we're going to bring in the other panelists into this discussion as well. Glenroy Pratt, it's good to have you here. Good evening to you. Howard Johnson, good evening to you as well. But as we were talking, Ellington, before we went to the live drop with Jose, this just looks sloppy. It is dragged on too long. I mean, if we said it for one, we have to say it for another, for this one now. And it is not at all appealing. It's starting to give off a stench.
It absolutely is. Shanique, has become very sloppy, and I'm looking at the whole process, and it appears that this is the rabbit and the turtle situation with the Progressive Liberal Party and the Free National Movement. The rabbit that has the lead, and he went on to say take a nap because he's well faster than the turtle. And when he woke up, the turtle was crossing the finish line, and the Progressive Liberal Party got to be very careful. I think they have kind of let their guards down with what they perceived, or what it was actually the lot of lackluster, the infighting of the Free National Movement. And now we're seeing the Progressive Liberal Party slow in getting its candidates ratified, to the point where some may even getting fed up and just stepping away from it. And we're seeing their process getting very messy, which mirrors, like you said at the beginning, is mirroring that of what we spoke about in the Free National Movement a few months ago.
Glenroy, good evening to you. Good evening to you and Howard. Glenroy, your thoughts on just what we're discussing right now, and of course the aspirants who are, it seems, still having interviews this evening at PLP headquarters.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Fergie, and good evening, Bahamas. Well, it's very interesting. It's a hot potato race. You know, it's a you know, you can't really determine which hot potato you land in your hand. But it is an interesting race. It is dragged on too long. I believe that the candidates themselves, the party knows who they are. A decision should have been made and a discussion should have been had. You know, what happens in these types of scenarios is like a seed that is in the ground, and then the longer you let it stay there and water it with all the negativity and the anger and all the other stuff, it blossoms into fruits. And as a result, now we're seeing a lot of people eating some of those fruits and are now soured by it. And now they are at a point where they are almost fed up and ready to throw their hat in. And it's unfortunate, but hey, listen, that's politics, you know. May the best man win.
I guess so. Howard?
And good evening, Bahamas. So, Shanique, we've long associated high drama and this kind of infighting with the FNM, as you all have so eloquently said. But now it is for certain that the PLP appears to be closing that gap. Now, Shanique, we know that in politics, you know, optics is everything, right? And the PLP is not looking very good at this time with all of this stuff going on, not just in Southern Shores, but in other constituencies that I know we will talk about. But here's the real thing, Shanique. Even though these are what I call popcorn-worthy moments that are going on, Dennerleigh Penn Mackey has the advantage and continues to have the advantage.
Absolutely.
Because the PLP, what's happening, and I've been in this situation twice as a ratified candidate, well, as a prospective candidate, and eventually a ratified candidate in Central and South Eleuthera and in South Beach. And here's the thing. Clint Watson and Obi Roberts are going door to door in Southern Shores talking to PLPs. They're not going to everyone that can vote in Southern Shores. And here's why. Because they need to get that nomination. So they're trying to get the people that are PLPs on their side to show up to events like this as a show of support. So Dennerleigh Penn Mackey is the ratified candidate for the FNM. So she can go everywhere. She can go to everyone because she knows that she is running in that constituency. So Clint and Obi are somewhat hampered in their attempts to cover and canvass that constituency. This, Shanique, represents an impediment, and the PLP needs to ratify a candidate post-haste because Dennerleigh Penn Mackey has the advantage.
What do you suppose, and how quickly do they need to move and make up their minds? Because if it was an interview this evening, then that's another wait. We saw exactly how this very thing caused the FNM a lot of mileage and caused them to stumble a bit some months ago. And now here's the Progressive Liberal Party at the top of the year just doing the very same thing. What window do they have to get it together?
Shanique, they have a very, very small window. As a matter of fact, I would hope that the parties, executives would look at this process and look at changing, look at making some adjustment, because this process does not work. It is not good with an election looming so close. I mean, those two persons, Clint and Obi, they have been on the ground. That could have been a full-fledged campaign for a general election the time that they have been on the ground.
Yes.
And so I think the Progressive Liberal Party, they need to kind of tweak their process. It's not a very tidy process of the selection of candidates for people going out there and months they going after each other. Now party supporters are split to the point where some are saying, I'm not going to vote if my man ain't in. It's been too long. I think the leadership should have taken control of it a long time ago. They have a very small window, and even with that very small window, their chance in Southern Shores is very, very slim.
Well, I'll tell you that speaking of very slim, there are some bruised emotions in the Mycal constituency this evening, notwithstanding residents of Mayaguana, Inagua, Crooked Island, Acklands, and Long Key making it known that they wanted Robert Dubuque Karen to be the Progressive Liberal Party's candidate for the Mycal constituency. That is no longer the case as of this evening, gentlemen. Dubuque Karen has formally withdrawn his application for the nomination, citing concerns over a potential conflict of interest with a company he founded, the Bahamas Aviation, Climate and Severe Weather Network, or BACSWN. In a letter to PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell, Dubuque Karen said the decision followed long and careful consideration with his family, friends, and advisors. During a sideline interview today, Prime Minister Davis was questioned by the media about the matter and made it clear that Dubuque Karen had been the front runner for the party's nomination in Mycal.
He's withdrawn, but he's throwing his full support behind us, and whoever we choose to be the candidate, and he's going to support. he was the leading personality for the nomination. But regrettably, he spoke to me and he recognizes that because of what he's doing for the country through the program Backswing that he has, that there might be potential conflicts along the way. And he did the honorable thing and said, let me step aside, but I'm going to support you and whoever you put in. Not this time.
And so, gentlemen, you heard Prime Minister Davis saying, listen, Deputy Karen was the front runner, but however that is, he decided to step away. Here's something else again that just dragged on and on. But what's funny about all of that is the people of Michael, even today, I'm sure you all have heard voice notes throughout the day and afternoon and evening of people expressing any number of sentiments as a result of what took place, or at least what was made public today. Your thoughts on how Michael played out and is looking?
Again, the Prime Minister gave highlight to my point when he stated that he was the front runner. He was the front runner, but then look how long that process has been going on. And now I really think Mr. Karen has had a lot of time to reconsider this whole process that they were being drug out, and some concerns for his business. But I think it's just been too long, and he just don't want to have anything to do with it after all of this time, or after he have already demonstrated, the people have already demonstrated. He came down here, people came from all of those islands in Michael, and they stated clearly and emphatically, this is the man we want, and it just never happened. So the Prime Minister really highlighted my point, that it should not have dragged on. He said he was the front runner. I think the selection should have been made.
Yeah, it's like an engagement that never materialized into a marriage. It was almost as if, I can marry you someday. One of these days we can get married. And
I take care of you.
Yeah, I tell you I love you, woman, or man, in these instances. But the reality is that it shows you that there was some hesitancy, to be honest with you, on the part of the Progressive Liberal Party. And this could be attributed in my statement.
Hesitancy, how do you mean?
In both instances, because obviously there is a leadership decision that could be made, right? And because of the fact that now both individuals or found themselves in a situation, or the three of them found themselves in this waiting game concept, it tells me that they were not either liked, or there was something that is there that there was just, they go to the altar, right? They were standing to the altar. They turned around, thought this was the wedding day, and all of a sudden, no bride, no groom. What a sad sight.
Shanique, on December 11, 1981, right there in Nassau, Bahamas, at the QE Sports Center, Muhammad Ali fought his last professional fight in the Bahamas against one Trevor Burbett. And guess what? It was dubbed the drama in Bahama.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's what's going on in Southern Shores and Michael right now. Drama in Bahama. Crunch and munch prime time. Okay? And so, Shanique, listen. What's going on in Michael? I've heard the voice notes. I've gotten messages today from scores of people down in that far-flung constituency in Bahamas, right? And people are not happy. And guess what? I want the Prime Minister and the upper echelons of the PLP to understand that although the people of Michael are way down at the bottom where you can sometimes be forgotten, y'all are taking these people not for counts. Y'all are taking them for count slop and the count bubby. That's what y'all taking them for. But they ain't stupid. Because guess what, Shani? We talking about, the Prime Minister said Robert Karen sent in his letter and said he is leaving because of the conflicts of interest, potentially with the Backswing thing. Well, Backswing was there prior to Mr. Karen becoming a candidate, during his time aspiring for the candidacy.
Absolutely.
And now that he's written his letter. So guess what that tells me? Mr. Karen is trying to be a good guy. He wants to have himself and his party save face. But what I've heard from scores of people down in Michael is that the up to and including the Prime Minister have told Mr. Karen prior to his letter being submitted that, buddy, you won't get this little thing. So you might as well do the honorable thing. And so he did the honorable thing. Let's stop playing games. This man needs to be the candidate because I am telling you, the young lady, Miss Ambrista, I have no issue with her. I do not know her. She is doing something that I believe is great in trying to seek office. But Shanique, the gentleman whose name I will not call that I'm hearing is going to be the candidate for the Free National Movement, Miss Ambrista, cannot beat this young man. And his father was a political mentor of mine, God rest his soul. She will not beat this young man. Robert Cack, and here's why she will not beat this young man. Now, shut up right now. She's not going to beat this young man because Mr. Basil McIntosh, the incumbent MP, has left such a bad taste in the mouth of those residents on behalf of the PLP. That was PLP representation, Shanique, over the course of the last almost 5 years. And so those people are upset and ready to give the PLP their things. If it's not Mr. Karen, the PLP will get their things.
Oh, so wow, Howard. Look at you calling.
I hope for the best for them.
Look at Howard. I tell you what Howard speaking tonight, Glenroy. I tell you calling the race in my car. I'll tell you this. We will take a look at if indeed the lady who we are hearing the name, if indeed she emerges as the candidate. We certainly, of course, when we look at temperature check and MyCal, we will see exactly who she is, what she brings, her vision, and also what she plans to do to help those islands there that are in desperate need of leadership, vision, foresight. So we will take a good look at that in the months to come. Beyond the Headlines is back right after this.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com. Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods. Taste the difference.
Running out of space? We've got room for that. Welcome to Skyline Storage, your trusted self-storage solution. Skyline Storage offers units from 5x10 to 10x30, climate controlled or standard dry. Perfect for home or business. Located in Westfield Commerce Park, Western New Providence. Your belongings stay safe with gated access and 24/7 surveillance starting at $175 a month. Reserve, pay, and move in online. No phone calls, no paperwork. Visit SkylineStorage.com. Skyline Storage. Storage made simple.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Government officials are standing firm as demolition efforts continue in Spanish Wells, insisting the actions are necessary and lawful, even as property owners publicly lash out in frustration and verbally attack law enforcement officers. We get the story from Linton Ritchie Jr. and then come back with an assessment.
Amidst the chaotic interruption of a shantytown demolition by owners of the unregulated area, Minister of Works Clay Sweeting brushing aside claims made by the pugnacious duo that they were left in the dark about the shutdown.
It's not correct for them to say they were not made aware. The shantytown in Eleuthera, they were served notice 18 months ago.
Proprietor Blake Pinder and another woman he identified as his sister were seen in video clips verbally attacking and humiliating law enforcement through racial and homophobic verbiage while throwing out derogatory gestures. Speaking out, Pinder claims the unregulated structures have been around for decades, according to him, long before, quote, license and approvals were needed. He alleges he was never handed a demolition notice in hand.
I've never once approached me, with any notification. They went and stuck and notified my tenants and stuck papers on their doors. Nobody has ever approached me to show me a paper or say anything.
But why the mayhem caught on camera? Pinder alleges it stemmed from broken promises and reported police brutality.
Local council walked around with Mr. Petty and he said, we'll overlook it. Then local council didn't show up when the task force showed up to knock my places. That was my frustration you seen on TV. And my sister's frustration come from the assault the officer did with her, punching her in the back.
Sweeting emphasizing that from his view, law enforcement were carrying out their duties and the anarchy was unwarranted.
It'd be difficult for me to hold restraint, but they did, and they've done an excellent job in carrying out the government's mandate.
Officials confirmed that demolition efforts will continue across the country, with family islands such as Andros and Abaco up next, with demolition in New Providence to recommence in the coming weeks. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, there you, it's just part two, really. You saw last evening we had on the show Blake Pinder, who is the brother and sister who own the property now. They inherited it from their father. But let's just jump in, gentlemen. Welcome back, Hot Topics panelists. Your thoughts about, they just can't seem to get it. In fact, I think he had strong words for me today because he said, I kept saying it's a shantytown. Well, sir, if you're not a developer with all the licenses and approvals and all the rest of it, you have established an illegal community. Gentlemen?
Absolutely, and I think we need to be more forceful continuously. I think the government efforts need to be more forceful. And persons that allow this to take place on their property, and obviously this Blake Shelton person, he facilitated it. I think there should be some kind of consequences to these property owners. We have too much of that, a lot of land, farmland that was granted to these people and they're using it to house illegal activity, shanty towns and even illegals. I think they should feel the brunt of the law also.
Yeah, I think also the reality is that this is actually, I always call the shanty towns an incubator for more illegal activity. And the challenge is that obviously there may be some wealth gain or some resources being earned by having such a community established by individuals. And so when it comes down to it, if you're impacting their income, obviously there'll be some pushback. But the facts are, when you look at what happened recently inside Jamaica, with that Category 5 storm and the kind of structures that were around in Jamaica, the same could happen here. And so the fact is those things need to be... It
happened in Abaco?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, and it happened before. So those things and structures need to be removed and we need to be standardized and ensure that we are consistent with our efforts. If we allow these things to continue, then we will continue to go down and be looked upon as a third world country, and we see what's happening up north. And the perception of what those third world countries are perceiving to have happened to them. We have to be so careful in how we execute and deal with these matters. It's just unfortunate that this hasn't been dealt with when the injunction was placed, but now we see some movements taking place, and now this is going to be for a healthier, a much more cleaner looking Bahamas.
Unique, it's always sad, in my opinion, when you see this kind of anger and acrimony from citizens towards its government and government representatives. And me, I'm cautiously optimistic, and I always want us to live in peace and harmony and work things out. But there were two things about the situation that I found very interesting, and it was the number one was that Mr. Pinder, I believe it is, Blake Pinder, he said that, the government put their notices on the buildings and didn't give him a notice. Well, the community is small. The Bahamas is small. Spanish Wells is small. That Shanty town is small. I believe if those notices were put there and not given to him proper, somebody said something to him. Somebody should have or would have carried those notices to him, so he would have been informed if what he is saying is indeed the absolute truth. That's number one. And then number two, you can have a side conversation with Mr. Petty. You can have a side conversation with Prime Minister Davis. They mean nothing. Yes, they are authority figures, representative of our government and perhaps law and order, but that's he say. Mr. Davis could tell you something in a side conversation in the moment. Mr. Petty could tell you something, but that does not usurp or supersede what is codified in law.
The law.
You see? And so that's what you have to understand. And then the last thing is Bahamians. If we get away with something for any lengthy period of time, knowing within ourselves that it is indeed illegal, to us, that becomes
right.
legal.
That's the law.
And that is right and true. And so we kind of get the wires twisted, because I got away with it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. Man, I good. This is now legal. It doesn't work that way, my fellow Bahamians. It does not.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Howard Johnson, Glenroy Pratt, Ellington Ferguson. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for your insight and always spot-on analysis. Thank you all very, very much. Don't go anywhere. Beyond the Headlines is back right after this break.
I was an electrician for 18 years, and one day I just lost my sight and found that I was in a totally new world. I just found this strength that came from nowhere, and here I am today. Even though I am faced with disabilities, the fire in me, it never went out as related to me being an entrepreneur. But the barrier is just people being understanding and willing to take a chance on somebody like myself. My dream is to see where the government can really pass laws, legislation to assist people like myself. And whether you believe it or not, we do have something to offer this country. We have to make people understand that we are here. And not in many cases we looking for handout. We want to make a contribution. You gotta live. And part of living is that you gotta take charge of your life. And through programs like this with the SBDC, I know for a fact that my business can now come to life.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you all tuned in. Well, in this segment, we're going to shift gears, still on politics, but we're going to take a look at the political landscape. You all see how interesting it's getting. We saw Southern Shores at the top of tonight's show. We discussed Michael as well and the developments there. Listen, politics in the Bahamas is taking on new energy, new expectations, and demanding more. So who's ready? We're going to take a look, this evening at the political landscape in the Bahamas in this 2026 general election year. Welcome back. Of course, as I said, I'd like to have you here. Adrian Francis, it's good to have you here. Good evening to you. And welcome to the show. It's good to have you back.
But I tell you what, this is a Hot Topic Thursday.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
It's good to be back.
Yes.
It's good, you're my girl, and whatever we have to discuss, we'll discuss.
Well, let's jump right in, Adrian. Well, before we get into it, quickly, your thoughts on Southern Shores and how that's playing out and what's happening. We feel the energy there this evening.
It's interesting. I don't know whether Southern Shores is really at play. For the most part, my inside sources always told me for the last 4 days, that there's a shift from both Clint and from Obi. And that for the most part, Robin Lyons, the senator, the young lady who ran for chairman against the Boulevard chairman, Fred Mitchell, may be in play for...
She may be sort of that
yeah.
I think they call it the dark horse, or
She's
somebody
a dark horse.
Yeah, and she's just going to come in the middle. You think that's what's going to play out here?
For all intents and purposes, for the most part, it just seems as if Robin Lyons is at play. From the leadership of the party, I'm understanding that they want to add more females to the party.
But wait now, Robin Lyons, and listen, I am quite familiar with everybody in this Southern Shores race, and even those who are being talked about, but I don't need any political organization to figure they need to pander to women to have another woman at the table. Bahamians are now looking
saying something else is in play?
Bahamians are looking for who is capable and who can deliver. No, they don't care which sex that comes in. They just want the person to get the job done. And I'm not saying Robin is not incapable of that. We know she's quite capable of it. I don't like the whole we need more women around it. Listen, you need more capable people who could work
you're right.
and deliver for these people.
You're right. The challenge we've had, I think, if you talk about the race between Obi Roberts and Clint Watson, there's a great demand for Clint Watson in that area. And Obi Roberts would have gotten, I think, an opinion poll kind of a mindset the other day when he would have edged out some numbers we saw on social media. But Clint Watson has been the demand candidate in that area. And for some reason, he has resonated. Yeah. Huge. He's resonated. Of course, he's running against Emily Penn, who we'll talk about later, but plenty of issues there. But Clint Watson seems to have gotten the edge. And if there's anything other than Robin Lyons, it would be Clint Watson.
Okay, well, again, that's something we'll continue to watch. Most certainly, we saw what happened in MyCal today. We'll spend time with that. I tell you, people are angry about that. Very, very angry. But let's just kind of move on, Adrian. I really want to get into this political landscape, how it's looking. A minute ago, you heard me say, listen, Bahamians now have more expectations. They are no longer willing to sit by and just get by. So let's look then. Speaking of women, the 7 women who are presently elected by the governing PLP, how are they shaping up, and how do they look? How do they look heading into the election, which is expected to happen in a few months?
By any candidate, whether it's a female or male, the best candidate the PLP have going into this election, on the ground in the micro, seem to be Pia Glover-Road.
Oh, wait a minute, really?
She has emerged. Not only in the party, in the cabinet, but also in the country, as a force to be reckoned with. Pia has been promoted within the cabinet in this iteration of leadership. Don't forget, she was a Minister of State for Labor.
Yes.
Now she's substantive.
Yeah.
So obviously, someone is seeing her worth, her work, her ethics. She's risen, and for the most part, she's a deputy in charge of house business. So when Maine Monroe is not there, she's there. And so she now understands...
I saw that just last night.
She now understands parliamentary democracy.
This week, yes.
She's understood parliamentary democracy. She's in submission, being mentored, I think, by Glenn Asana Martin. And so there's a whole lot going on. So let's take Pia out of the...
No. Let's keep in the civil, because we're actually talking now with them being members of parliament, not necessarily cabinet ministers. If you want to bring that up, fine. But let's talk about their performance.
And so for member of parliament, like I said, she's put Shane Gibson work on steroids, and so she's now become Miss Golden Gates. There was a little Poufa the other day with somebody, one of those other French parties, went along talking about it. Some Chinese putting up some basketball rims. That was like lightning. It came and it went very quickly because she is that kind of character. Pia would lead the pack right now among the females.
So you're saying of all the female MPs of the Progressive Liberal Party, Pia Glover is well out front.
She's well out front
as an MP.
As an MP, of course, you have the anchor. The anchor would then be Glenys Hanna Martin. Mm-hmm. They say Glenys is so hard in English, then they should call it Glenyston. That's a good Glenys.
Let's talk about her performance this term.
Very, very much so. How much have you heard negative about Glenys Hanna Martin, even with education? She's been able to transform some things in the constituency in terms of what the young people wanted, where the young people are going. So Glenys has done extremely well. She's an anchor. As a matter of fact, she's the last of the Mohicans in the PLP.
Well, okay, who are the female MPs that have just missed from one fumble after another in this term that if they are elected, you would be surprised? If they are re-elected, you would be surprised? I think
there are three persons that stand out in terms of nomination that would be kind of on the cutting edge. And I would go to Lisa Ramming, who would have done a whole lot of work in Marathon. But even though she was in the beginning of her leadership and her membership, Lisa, there were a whole lot of things going on where she was trying to stop. They say authority that is recent is always very stern. And Lisa did not cement herself coming out of the gate. She kind of smoothed out down the line. And Marathon has been one of those constituencies that people over the last 2 months have put in play. And I don't know, I think if I was to give a number to Marathon right now, she'd be at 65%. Rather than, you have to be going in at this stage in the game, mm-hmm. You have to be at least 70%. For anyone to call you a lock based on, this is report card day, Mm-hmm. And if in report card day, if you are at 65%, that means you have a lot of work to do to get to passing grade.
Oh, so you're saying that is what makes her vulnerable heading into this election?
That makes her vulnerable. Now, the question is whether or not rumors have gone on recently whether she would get the nomination. Mm-hmm. But the reality is 65% is still a passing grade. Mm-hmm. Now, is it a comfortable passing grade? You tell me. No, I say no. But Lisa Ramming, she has worked the Marathon constituency in the micro. She's done a whole lot, golf program. She's done some things. There are any number of things that she would have done. Let me tell you, before we get on to the other two females, it's very difficult to represent Bahamians as a member of parliament. But the one gender that should not be voted very easily should be females.
How so?
Because they stand on the shoulders of women who have to fight their backside off just to get in. And so rather than walking on their backs, they should stand on their shoulders. They should give honor to the Janet Bossocks of our lives and Talia Johnsons of our lives and the Glenys Hanna Martins of this contemporary generation. The challenge is sometimes you cannot go in thinking you already know. The time to learn is not the time to earn. Mm-hmm. And so many of these young persons who got in, sometimes rather than being so aggressively haughty, you ought to sit back and learn. And if you meet Glenys Hanna Martin in Parliament, you should say, teach me, help me, mm-hmm. Especially in the micro. You have to kiss your constituents on a daily basis. Leslie Miller, mm-hmm. Bryce.
She's one of the ones limping into the election?
Leslie is at probably 80% in Seabreeze. Mm-hmm. She knows all of her constituents by name.
What are some of the things she has done to make her outstanding in your opinion?
Aside from the urban projects, home repairs, she felt the heart of the people in that area. Nothing has happened in Seabreeze that she has not identified with. Nothing goes on in that place. She has become synonymous with young persons in that area. She's bought in. You know what Pa is? I don't know if you know her daddy, right? Her daddy is a walking legend when it comes to his constituencies. She has taken on that pedigree. She comes out of that pedigree. She do what her pa did. She didn't relax at becoming an MP. She wanted to sustain it. Now, if you go from Leslie and come back to two more, you would go to Madam Speaker, who is disadvantaged.
The member of parliament for Bamboo
The
Town,
member of parliament for Bamboo Town, Patricia DeBow.
You say she is limping into the next election.
She's limping going in.
Where does she stand in your opinion? You gave Lisa Raming 65%. Where do you give Patricia DeVoe?
I think she's at 60%. The numbers on the ground and going through the constituencies, I think she's at 60%. She have the potential to get up to 60%. She's disadvantaged as the Speaker of the House. She's disadvantaged. She cannot stand up and say, Madam Speaker, I represent I stand as representative of the people of Bamboo Town constituency. She's disadvantaged when it comes to that voice in Parliament. So you can't hear her every day. They could see her in the seat every day.
But how visible? See, because social media now is the great equalizer.
Yes.
And you can be just as loud out there, showing and doing and having people speak about your good works, and also obviously putting those on display so that not only the constituency but the nation sees. So how impactful and effective has she been? Because remember now, we already see what's happening. Bamboo Town is shaping up to be one of those hot races.
Ooh,
think about
man.
it. There's going to be Dwayne Sands from the FNM, Renford Wells as an independent. Not even sure about the other.
You can't remember the COI person's name?
I think it's Maria Daxon, I think.
Which Maria
Okay,
Daxon?
so Maria Daxon for the COI. Then there are several people who are extremely compelling, who are going to be going after the race in Bamboo Town. So again, what is it Patricia DeVoe done or not done?
There's an old saying, you can make an impression from a distance, but you have to come up close to make an impact. And if there's one particular thing I would say that she would have done, I'm not getting it from the constituents as I walk through, but she is loved in the community. But being loved in terms of me being able to put my fingerprints on the exact thing that she would have done, or what she's become synonymous with, that's something completely different. But I know she's loved in the area. Now, she's also on the fringe in terms of persons wondering whether she will get the nomination. I am not certain based on my sources whether she's going in as a front-runner nominee. Now, we can talk later about the landscape in the context of Bamboo Town itself. But Bamboo Town is going to be interesting. Let's just put it like that. It's going to be interesting.
The recent boundary reports that came out, does that somehow, who does that benefit most, you think?
I think it benefits the sitting government. The reason why it benefits the sitting government, first of all, you're not going to gerrymander or cut anything. That does not benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but of course, all of our composition must be mixed with salt in the context that the Bahamian people decide who they want.
Absolutely, Adrian. This is what because you are dancing around every question I asked.
No,
so
I'm
far.
not dancing.
I need you to consider.
I have never danced in my life.
That in this political landscape, they are now voters, whether they be new voters, first-time voters, whether they be youth voters, or even seasoned voters, who are now all demanding and requiring more. Which member of parliament, female, fumbled in that? And we are focusing in on this evening in this segment, really, largely on the government, on those women who have been elected as government members of parliament.
4 to 7 of the PLP's candidates who are females, I think they are 75 to 85%. And I'll give you Pia Glover Roll, Glenasana Martin, Jobert Kobe Davis, and then I'm missing someone.
You are?
Jobert Kobe Davis, Glenasana Martin,
Leslie Miller,
Pia Glover and Leslie. Mm-hmm. And so then you have three left.
Okay, then so there's a senior minister for Grand Bahama.
And listen, Grand Bahama.
Ginger Moxie.
Ginger Moxie.
How does she stand and how is she poised headed into the next election?
Ginger Moxie, I believe, has some challenges. And she don't have challenges because of Ginger only, but she has challenges because of Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama itself has not recovered. And even with some of the projects that the government put out for Grand Bahama, they're not going to happen before the election kick in.
But Adrian, I'll tell you this. I think a lot is happening in Grand Bahama, Adrian. In fact, when I was on vacation, I got a call from Grand Bahama stating, because I went there late last year, and stating that they would want to perhaps have follow-up shows because of the good news that's happening and good news to share and talk about in the Grand Bahama economy. And so let's just seriously zero in on Ginger Moxie and see where she has fallen weak. and how she's dropped the ball,
Listen,
as you were saying.
here's the thing, right? I think Ginger would have lost some support in the constituency. And the support, I'm talking about persons who are dear to her. And she is rallied after the opening of the key. She's rallied major. I think she's underrated. You have to bear in mind that Grand Bahama right now, out of 5, have 3. And in terms of opposition, the opposition have three seats. We have West Grand Bahama for the PLP, and then you have Bimini for the West Grand Bahama Bimini, then you have Pine Ridge. So those 2. So the question is, what has been added from the leadership from the PLP to help supplement who Ginger is? If it were me and I was Ginger, I would have piggybacked on the Prime Minister's statement to the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Y'all got to get your act together. As an MP, how women would have been bend or break the Grand Bahama Port Authority.
Has she been too silent this entire term? Because you don't even hear from Ginger in the House. You don't feel her. You don't get her.
Ginger has had a lot to work with. She started a couple of programs. Most of them did not take the kind of route that she wanted. A hotel deal would have been the grand slam for her. If all things being considered, the hotel sale, that would have been her grand slam. The opening of the key brought a lot of persons back to Grand Bahama, and that has benefited her tremendously. I would not say Ginger's out of 65. I say she's out of 70. She's out of 70. And I wouldn't put her at 65. But I do believe that coming out of Grand Bahama as an incumbent, she has struggled some, simply because of the pain Grand Bahama's felt.
Yeah, she's kind of had to be tossed about with all the bumps and the knocks and everything.
She's out of 70, and see.
So she's out of 70. Well, Adrian, I look. You know what? Let's just move on.
You said you were in Grand Bahama.
Yeah.
How difficult a 70 would be from Ginger based on what you would have heard. Based on what you would have heard.
I've not heard. I didn't really discuss politics when I went there, but I don't.
What you felt? What did you feel?
I felt frustration, but I also felt optimism. And it's what I also get every day. And then, as I said, I'm just back this week from vacation. And on vacation, I got a call from the Grand Bahama Port Authority stating of things that, and we've been talking about it. Yeah, I've been talking about it for quite some time. And so it's going to take a sort of a combination of things to work together to make Grand Bahama rise. And I think that's what's happening.
I believe that. I believe that what Ian Rollos have done and where they're trying to go, there have to be an understanding that there cannot be two governments in one country. That message was resounded by the Prime Minister of our country. Grand Bahama is going to have to play its role in the development of Freeport. I saw something recent of a sale opportunity for Grand Bahama Port Authority. The reality is, I think the Prime Minister's message to Grand Bahama is something that was powerful enough for them to get their act together. And so I believe that if you get Grand Bahama back, Ginger did not get, I think, the utmost boost until the key kicked in. I have her rated somewhere around 70%. And when I went into Grand Bahama a few times, the last time I went, I told Minister Moxie, I said, listen, man, the thought of your demise is greatly exaggerated because some person started buried. She's not. She's not buried. I think she's right between 65 to 70%.
So you think the women of the PLP, the members of Parliament, are overall doing very well?
They're doing very well. They're doing very well. I think the challenge is Lisa in Marathon. I think she has to come up to par if she gets the nomination. I think the same thing with Madam Speaker. Only recently from inside sources, they talk about her being able to navigate the constituency because of some challenges. Other than that, the only other person we have left in this whole scenario would be the Minister for Transport and Energy and the member for Elizabeth. I believe that she is one of the smarter members in the House in terms of articulation. She brings a lot when she speaks. I think in terms of energy, and the whole idea of transport, she has fumbled some. And when I
In
say
which area?
When it comes to her social process and the people liking her, she fumbled some. And her fumble have brought her back to the people. Fumbling has brought her back to the people. She would be they say that there's three sets of people in every organization: project, prospects, and superstars. She's a major prospect. Some of the things that has happened, you remember the nonsense with the jewelry stuff and all that stuff. Some of the things that she would have done would have offended some persons. Is she at a 70? Hell no. She's at 80, 85.
Well, then, so it doesn't matter then. Maybe because of the biggest politics, in this new political landscape, I wanted to talk to you about the role of social media and for all those women and others. I think I'll have to have you back as we look at the landscape and try and navigate it ourselves, because I want to hear what more you have to say. You have brought up all these women's names, and then you've still gone and given them passing grades. I don't know, Adrian, I don't know if you delivered properly as you should have.
Listen, now you're attacking me.
But I'm done. I have to go. I'm not attacking you. I'm saying
you're telling me that the grades are too high, in your opinion.
No, I have no opinion here. I simply ask the questions and I let you speak.
No, I'm saying to you that I do believe that in an election where there's no indication of a wave, 65 is very low. If there's an indication of a wave, that means you get sweet.
So some of them have fumbled significantly in this term, and you were saying the fact that there doesn't appear to be a wave that's taking shape. Those who at 65, 70% are low.
Not only are they low, I think the party itself will be considering whether or not they're going forward.
I tell you, we could talk about many of the party's choices, but we'll come back at that, Adrian. I think I'll have you back again. Let's just.
You're amazing.
Let's look at this further and explore some more as we look at the political landscape, 2026. What Bahamians are thinking, what they need, what they're desiring, what they're saying.
Are we going to talk about the athletes who are running?
This is. Thank you very much for sprinters. I have to go. Eric, stop. We will come back with that. Tonight was the PLP's night. We'll come back with the FNM and how they're looking, the political landscape as it relates to the pre-national movement. Listen, I thank you so much, Adrian Francis, for being here. It's good to have you here. I always like to hear your insight and how you think you see things. Is he right, y'all? Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here. For my entire team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.